Have you ever wondered how 911 calls and location information are transmitted correctly to the right public safety agency? Or more specifically, the right public safety answering point, also referred to as a PSAP.
911, what is the location of your emergency?
Let's walk through the process of what actually happens to properly route a 911 emergency call in Tennessee. And it all happens in the blink of an eye. When you dial 911 from a cell phone, the handset connects to the closest cell tower within the wireless network. Emergency calls are routed through a special system that is designed for 911, called a Mobile Positioning Center, or MPC, also known as a Gateway Mobile Location Center. The MPC retrieves, stores, and forwards location information within the system. First, the MPC assigns a 10-digit emergency services routing key to the call, more generally known as a PANI or pseudo-ANI, which is a temporary, reusable code the system uses to retrieve a 911 caller's location and other information. You'll see how this key will be used later in the call. The call, along with its assigned emergency services routing key, are then delivered to a selective router, which is part of the local phone company network. The selective router forwards the call and key into the next-gen 911 system, where the Emergency Services IP Network, or EZNet, delivers them into the core services, where applications perform various functions with high speed and accuracy, improving the experience and efficiency for PSAPs and first responders. Here, the Emergency Services Routing Proxy Application, or ESRP, will receive and process the call by first gathering information about the caller, like their location. The ESRP will query the location database using the call key or PANI it received earlier from the selective router. The location database retrieves the information it has for the reusable call key and forwards the query onto the Mobile Positioning Center to obtain the caller's location. Using various technologies such as satellite GPS and tower triangulation, the MPC obtains the caller's XY coordinates and responds to the location database, or LDB, with the information. The location database forwards that response back to the ESRP for further processing. Next, the ESRP uses the caller's XY coordinates to query the Emergency Call Routing Function, or ECRF, to determine where the caller is, and therefore which PSAP to send the call to. The proper PSAP is identified, and the response is sent back to the ESRP. Finally, before sending the call to the selected PSAP, the ESRP does one final check with the policy routing function to determine if there are any special rules in place for the proposed PSAP, such as if the PSAP is experiencing high call volumes, is undergoing maintenance, or has special instructions which would instruct the ESRP to select an alternate PSAP to receive the call. Once the ESRP makes the decision, the emergency call is sent across the EZNet to the appropriate PSAP.
911, what is the location of your emergency?
Amazingly, all that happened within seconds. The caller can now inform the telecommunicator of their current situation, while the telecommunicator records the information and arranges to have emergency responders dispatched to their location. Although 90% of Tennessee 911 emergency calls originate from a cell phone, emergency calls can also be generated by dialing 911 on VoIP and landline phones. Additionally, texting to 911 will connect to a PSAP. For voice-over IP calls, the call first travels to their local internet provider, to the VoIP Positioning Center, or VPC, before reaching the selective router and continuing through the EZNet and core services, just like our cell phone call earlier, and finally to the PSAP. For a 911 emergency call that is made on a traditional landline, the call travels along phone company lines before reaching the selective router, and then continues through the EZNet and core services before arriving at the PSAP. And texting to 911 is available as well. Texts sent to 911 follow a similar path as our cell phone call. However, they use a text control center, or TCC, rather than a selective router before reaching the core services, and then arriving at the PSAP. For cell phone callers that use smartphones, providers such as Rapid Deploy and Rapid SOS will automatically transmit data to PSAPs that use their service. and this often includes a more accurate location, description, and other information that can further assist telecommunicators with the emergency response. For the more than 3 million 911 calls and texts that are processed in Tennessee every year, all are answered by highly trained and certified telecommunicators who coordinate and deploy vital emergency services that are required for each unique situation from over 130 PSAPs across Tennessee.